Hi there, and welcome to the second episode of Gem Chats, where me, Gem, gets to chat about anything and everything in life, whether it's love, friendships, any kind of shitstorm that life tends to throw us. I'm going to chat about it all. So grab yourself a beverage. Ina, if you see this, and or anyone that has listened to mine and Ina's podcast that we did in college, I'm so sorry for the betrayal, but for all your listeners out there, I have a dupe of a certain cup. I'm sorry, it's just every time I walked by one, I kept looking at it. And when I walked into B&M the other day and I saw it was down to £4.50, I just had to get it. It is ridiculously big. It is. No cup needs to be that size. But do I regret getting it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But it is quite unpractical to travel with, which kind of defeats the purpose. But you know what? I have a cute cup to sip at home. Like, it makes me feel like a big baby. I need help. I need psychological help. Anyway, yes, welcome back to the second episode. I just want to say thank you to everyone who has listened to the first episode and given it some love. Even if you've given some love to all the clips I've been posting throughout the week, any support is appreciated, and I thank you. And I thank you so much for that. It does take a lot of guts to do something like this and post yourself out there, especially if I'm not as vulnerable as I am now with the whole being unemployed thing. But it's still a big part of my personality, and it is a huge change. And just the fact that everyone's been so lovely and been so supportive, I really do appreciate that. Thank you all so much. So let's get into the second episode, shall we? Today, I will be talking about how I lived in the same town for pretty much my entire life. I lived there for like 24 years of my life, quickly moved from there to a town just outside of Glasgow. It was like a 10-minute train ride from Glasgow city centre. So now I'm living in another bit outside of Glasgow, but it's a tiny bit further, but it's like 20-minute train, I would say. So it's not too bad. How and what I'm doing to kind of cope with that, plus any mistakes I've made, and how in hindsight, looking back, would I've done things differently. So let's get into it. I was someone I never really thought about moving out. It just wasn't something that crossed my mind. I think it's because I had an older brother who didn't move out until he was like in his mid 20s either. Like I there were times he wasn't there a lot, but that was because he was like a young lad. He was staying at his girlfriend's house at the time, or he was out with his mates. Just being a young lad. And I kind of grew up with that, and I thought, well, basically my parents never really wanted to kick me out as soon as I turned 16, 18. They never pressured me to like leave school. The only thing they were very set on is like, you need to keep your job, you need to earn money, you can't just rely on everything, which is true. Paid dig money every month. um I paid for my own car, I paid for my own phone, my tiny bit about the car my parents did help out with, but I was like the insurance, but everything else I paid for myself. For stuff I always paid for myself, and I was like more responsible with money than most people, but again, I wasn't the most responsible either because I never had enough to buy my own place, but I had enough to rent. You know what I mean? I wasn't never that fussed about moving out, but then lockdown hit, and then I realized how much I did want to move out. I think it's because every single one of my friends had at least moved out at some point, or had moved out and had their own space, and I really needed my own space. And especially because during lockdown, my brother had moved back in, so there was four of us in the house, and he had a kid, so he would be staying between us and his other house. So that was five people, and plus we got a dog, but that was just before I moved out. So that was six breathing things in the house, and it is a lot. It can be a lot. It was just times I just want peace and quiet, but it was about five other people in the house. It got to be a lot. Beginning of 2022, I decided I really needed to change my life up. So I applied for college in Glasgow because bit of a change, and I got in. And me and my friend had been wanting to move out for ages, so we decided to get a flat. We knew we didn't want to live in city centre because that's expensive, and plus we're not really city people. I like being near the city, but I don't like living in the city. If you get what I mean, I like having easy access, but I don't want the full experience. You know. So we decided to look is more in the Lanarkshire area we looked at, and we found a flat. Honestly, we kind of thought the flat. See, for our first flat, it was good. Like, I think for most first flats, it was pretty decent. We also had some issues, like our toilet for a month didn't work. That was a fucking nightmare. My flatmate's room had bad mold, and it took them ages to go and fix it. It was just like stereotypical things. It was a cold building, and our neighbours were a bit weird. But I do miss living with her. I do miss seeing her every so often. I do miss chatting to her, obviously. But yes, that was definitely a good learning curve. I think that's the closest I will ever get to moving out for university, because I technically did move out to be a student, because I was at college and I worked part time at a supermarket. So I was like never home because I was like constantly busy, and I was volunteering for things as well to like gain some experience. So I was like never home. And plus I was in a committed relationship as well. So there'd be weekends I'd be staying with I'd be staying with him. So it was just a weird time in both our lives. So I lived there for nearly 2 years, and then my boyfriend and we had been ready to move in together for like months, like a good few months, or even a year. Like honestly, I was ready to move in with him, like from the get go, but obviously that just didn't work out. So we are now officially living together because we're really close to the station, and plus I drive, so it's a pretty decent place. Plus I know the area quite well because I volunteered for a local radio station. I was based in the town that I'm in now, and through there I got to learn a bit where some bits are and some places are, so it worked out well. I'm really happy living here. I feel like it's been quite nice, bit of a homemaker experience, especially because now I have no job. I'm kind of glad it happened now that I'm in this flat rather than the last flat. I think it's just because by near the end, my flatmate didn't have a job. Like, she quit her job because it was not good for her, and the job market, the job market, and I think having two unemployed people living together, it definitely would have we definitely would have pushed each other's buttons quite a bit. So, and it's given me time to like kind of organize the flat a bit more. Even though I say that, I'm looking at the corner over there. You know how everyone has that chair that they just dump things on? But I have an ornament, and it's just filled with stuff. And I know for a fact it annoys my boyfriend so much. I can feel it in his bones. But I'm never going to change who I am, okay? Everyone needs a tiny bit of mess in their life. So, when I moved out with my flatmate, did we do much exploring? We didn't do a lot. I literally discovered a good walking route a month before I moved out. Like, I think again, it's just because I was working plus college. I just didn't have enough time to really explore a lot of these places. We lived quite a good driving distance away from Glasgow Green. That was really good. I really do miss that. You lived in the same place majority of your life. You know where everything is. You know where 20 minutes in the car will get you. You know all the good places to go for walks. You know how safe some areas are, or you know what shops are good, what bars are good, what places are just convenient. Whereas I know that's kind of my fault. I didn't really make that much of an effort to try and go out to these places, but it's just I just never really got the feeling of like this is like how it's like back home, you know, back with my parents and that. I can't just expect to walk into places and be like, again, I know I needed to make that effort, but it's really really hard. Same with here as well. I think now I actually have the more free time. I could just go out and do it, and I have been. I've been making a bit more of an effort. I think it's because again I'm a bit more familiar with the area because I volunteered at a radio station here, and I'm not really that afraid to take a walk into the town centre where all the shops now are, and I know what cafes there are, and I've tried quite a few, and they all seem really really nice. We have a really distinct, a good walking route. Yeah, I found a place, but it's quite a small bit, and it's not quite the feeling I got whenever I wanted to drive down to Glasgow Green type of walk. I, man, I miss that so much. I think as well, it's so hard to make friends in these type of areas. Because I know when people do generally move out to uni, they tend to live with people that are also in uni, or they move somewhere that's quite near the city, so then they have more chance to go to student things. Also, now I'm not a student anymore. I'm a 27-year-old woman, and how do you make friends with people in your mid 20s? I can't go to extra clubs because, again, I don't have a job. I don't have money. Like, how do you do all that? As plus, I know there's like Bumble BFF, but I feel weird having Bumble on my phone. Even though, again, it'll be just for friendship purposes, it'll be used in the Bumble BFF feature. I still feel kind of weird having that, even that sort of app on my phone. You know what I mean? I've done the whole dating apps thing. I'm in a committed relationship. Why should I have to go out and do all this again? So, if anyone has any advice on how to like explore this new place and how to make friends, how to find people kind of your age, then please let me know. I've always kind of struggled with this, to be honest. Like, I've always been someone that's just been very comfortable with the people that she has in her life and doesn't really want to have new people. But I kind of want to change that because I do kind of want to at least have a friend that I know is really close by and I could be like, let's go out for coffee. Let's go out for coffee. Let's go out for a walk. Even though it was a Tuesday, we can both do it. It's tough. It's very tough. Although it's weird. I'm saying all this about how like I'm so used to living in one area, one town, and I'm able to go out and do things and feel whatever. It's weird coming back like yes, everything kind of feels natural because obviously I know where everything is. It doesn't feel like home anymore. If you get what I mean. I think it's because my parents got have since changed the house. Like they've added an extension to the house since I moved out. So obviously things are quite different. They feel different, and my room's completely changed. It's still my bed, but they've changed like the walls and everything. So everything looks and feels different in the house now. So it doesn't feel like my house anymore. You know, it didn't feel like the house that I grew up in. So I'm like, is anywhere going to feel like home? I think this is the closest I've ever felt to home. But again, I've only been living here like nearly 2 months. I've got time. I have got time. And I think I just need to get a grip and just realize that it's going to take a while to settle into anywhere. And I just need to make that effort to go out and explore the world, to be honest. I think it's because I think it's because Tom and I don't fully know where we're going to end up, where we want to end up. Happy being here for now, obviously, but obviously in the future, if I ever get a job that pays well and I can afford a house, we don't know where we're wanting to live. We don't really know what we want in our future house. We've not really discussed that. Like, we don't really know what type of area yet. We don't know. We don't know. We want to consider somewhere where it'll be easy for us to have kids or anything like that, or even any dogs. Like, we've not really discussed that. I think it's because we're both just not ready for that kind of next step in our life yet. Because like we just moved in, but I've never really pictured an area and I'm like, dream place for me to live, dream place for me to live. I've never really been like that. And I think it is quite difficult when you're just not sure in anything you want in your future. It's no wonder I am where I'm at now because I'm like, what? How am I meant to know what I want to do for the rest of my life? I don't really know. I don't know. I did say in the last episode I kind of want to read out some stories or even just something that maybe kind of relates to each episode I'm talking about. So I'm sorry, Megan, I'm going to bring you up. My friend Megan, so I've known Megan since like school. She's kind of moved from like England and back. So she's now moved back to Glasgow after being in England for so long. And she's actually the only one of my friends that doesn't really have a partner. So she found this group of people on TikTok actually. They play like rounders round about Glasgow. So they've been to Kelvin Grove, they've been to Glasgow Green and all that stuff. So she's been hanging out with them quite a bit. She even invited us to one of their games, but I couldn't go because I had something. But my other friend Chloe went and she had a great time with them and they all hung out that night. And I think it's, I think that's all I think is a good way to meet people. She says she's going to Edinburgh either next week or the week after, and they're all going to play rounders. Like, that's nuts. They all play rounders, then they all go to a bar afterwards. I think that's a great thing to do. And plus, there's someone that organises things like the Glasgow Girl Walks. I think that's what it's called, and they proper highlight, and it's a way for girls about the Glasgow area come together and make friends. And I think it's meant to be like a non-pressure environment, and also nowhere. drink doesn't even need to be involved, which I know that's a big thing for a lot of people these days. A lot of people don't drink as much as they used to. And I think, again, that's another really good way of kind of meeting people as well. I do need to look into stuff like that, but it's just like, I never had the time, and now I've got the time, and I'm like, I just feel like I can't make too much plans because what if a job interview comes up? What if I end up getting a job and I can't go to these places? And something else as well that I've been wanting to go, but again, just never had the chance to, is the Glasgow Book Club. I know recently they were talking about Sophie Gravers or Gravers. I can never pronounce her last name, even though she's Scottish. I'm really, really sorry. But she had a book out recently called Hot Girl Summer. Really good book. I read it. I love her so much. They had a whole thing based on her book, and I think she was even there. And I'm like, bitch, I want to meet Sophie. I want to meet Sophie. Again, I'm so sorry if I rambled on, which seems like nonsense. I think for me, I'm just trying to get you guys into a picture of what my life has been like and where I'm at now, and how I'm kind of using that to maybe better myself in the future, if that's possible. So I hope you enjoyed the second episode of Gem Chats, where me, Gem, gets to chat about anything and everything in life, whether it's love, friendships, any shitstorm that life throws at us, just anything really. I am here to chat about it. And if you guys are willing to listen to it again, I am more than happy to see you again here next week. So see you later.